Hello and welcome back to the Listening Lounge. My name is Nick Day, CEO of JGA Recruitment Group, specialist HR and payroll recruiters. Today I'm joined by Gustaf Nordbäck, who is CEO of Headspring Executive, and he is driven by a belief that education can indeed change lives for good. What are some of the challenges that people are faced at the minute, and what are some of the solutions that perhaps either Headspring are providing or people can provide within their own businesses to make sure that the environment that they're creating for effective learning is available and possible?
Well, so I mean, I think if you look at some of the challenges that we face, I think we all know that businesses and leaders operate in a super fast changing environment right now. We need to navigate all these, be it external factors and pressures, and I think that's become more challenging than what leaders and organizations experienced before. Now, in that, it's I think really putting learning and development, not just aligning learning and development to the business strategy, but actually putting it at the core. It needs to be inextricably linked to what your business strategy is, and in so doing, it's about really designing learning together with the strategy, creating the space for the people to learn. So I think that's one of the challenges for people, is to think about learning really from the outset as when you design the strategy of the business.
Sure. I think some of the things that I come across in the world of work that I do in terms of HR recruitment, I deal with a lot of senior HR professionals, and they're really passionate about trying to evolve the culture to be more, question related, trying to get people to come up with their own responses, empowering their employees, building on engagement. And that's all great. As I say, working kind of towards this facilitative or coaching based culture within the businesses, coming away from the old school sort of command and control structures that used to exist. However, we often then hear that one of the biggest barriers that I'm seeing in the conversations that I have, one of the obstacles I have to overcome, is they want to move away from command and control, but actually time prevents it, because they need, as you say, it's very rapidly moving. They need something to happen now. They'll turn around and go, right, just do this. And then that kind of flies in the face of what they're also trying to achieve from that coaching mindset, from that questionable mindset where they're getting the employees to come up with their own responses. I would see that's quite a major obstacle, particularly for those that are time crunched, particularly for those that need results in a results orientated operation they may be functioning in. What would be your advice for someone in who wants to get from A to B but is struggling when they need to make results now?
That's a spot on observation, and I think that's an absolutely key question. I think that it's one piece of advice is let go, and actually trust the power of the organization and the people, because at the end of the day, I think when you start building peer-to-peer learning, when you start building and allowing your leaders for taking that more coaching approach, great things happen. You need to, of course, holistically think about how you can develop that strategy throughout the organization and enable it. You can't go from one extreme to the next.
Sure.
So it's important to take first steps and really let the leaders of the organization gain confidence and gain skills in managing in that way, and just allowing for learning to happen across the board. That I think is absolutely key.
If you were to surmise from your experience, I think you've got a wealth of experience in scaling learning businesses. You've got an intricate understanding of how learning can be effective and how to make learning effective. What in your eyes would be the perfect leader? What would it look like, particularly for future leaders, I guess? What skills would they have? what would their being be? How would you, if you were to describe it potentially, what would it look like?
So I think that's that's such a good question. I think that the ideal leader, I think, is incredibly adaptive to situations. And we know that, you need to be able to quickly adapt with all these, the changes that are going on. I think profoundly human. So in this sense, I think the skills of empathy and empathetic understanding of others is absolutely crucial, because what you do is basically listening and hearing how your colleagues and team members feel, and that inspires trust. And by inspiring trust, you will just you will create a very positive environment. People will feel, and the results will come thereafter. So I think that empathy and empathetic understanding is absolutely crucial. I think curiosity is another one of those really magic powers of a leader, and inspiring curiosity in the organization, because that again, it's super powerful, because what you do is you start testing things, experimenting things, you listen, you ask questions, and the organization will learn faster, the organization will be more creative, and innovation comes, and a lot of great things will happen. So I think curiosity is absolutely fundamental. I do think that being led by purpose and meaning is another one of those things that will also help be a glue for the organization and help engage all audiences, because when you take the purpose of the organization and you can align around something that is greater than just making profits and so forth, it's incredibly powerful, and it comes down to some of the most deep human emotions, and that will also inspire an organization to do what's necessary to do great things and to thrive.
Amazing. I love that. I love some of the words you picked out on. They are so human in nature. You mentioned human a few times on this show, but you picked out the empathy. You talked about trust. You talked about curiosity, the very inherent human things that we can do to be great leaders. I couldn't agree more. I know that Stephen Covey's been on the show. He's a keen listener of the show, and he talks a lot about trust. And actually, if you haven't got that trust, it's very hard to be an effective leader. And establishing that you can do through things like curiosity, through being empathetic, and so on. I'd love to know, Gustaf, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, so hopefully we can pick something out. Whether it's your experience at Rosetta Stone, whether it's at Headspring, or maybe it's someone you've worked with. But I wondered if you could give the audience an example of where you've had either yourself or someone you've worked with has had to show some of those qualities to take a business or a problem from one place to another. I don't know if you've got any case studies or examples in your own career, which perhaps you can talk about where you've had to show some of those qualities to take you scaled Rosetta Stone phenomenally. That might be a good example. Just sort of bring some of that to life a little bit for the listeners, because we hear a lot about the theory, but less about the practice. It'd be great if we can kind of, I guess, level that with some practical examples.
Yeah, now that's an excellent question. I think when I look back, I think I've seen and had the privilege of working with some incredibly inspiring leaders, if you will, and I really think that when I've found, I'm struggling to just give one solid example now, but I do think that when I've found myself in situations where a business can be supremely challenged, very challenged, it's an ability to come to rally an organization, a people, around some of the core values that the organization stands behind when it comes to moving beyond just, we need to make the profit. I've seen absolutely amazing things happen. And it's only when you can come down to values, the values of the organization, the values that the people stand for, that you can actually, I think, elevate people's performance.
Just even say a huge thank you once more to Gustaf Nordbäck for joining me today. I look forward to bringing you the next episode real soon. Thank you ever so much. Thanks, Gustaf.
Thank you, Nick.